Alright, so welcome back to the channel. This is the channel where I try stuff so you don't have to. Not really. I'm hoping this works. I'm going to attempt to try and make some sugar-free jelly. We have a ton of grape juice from our garden. So we have all these bags of grape juice. Each one of those bags is about 3 cups. And so I'm going to try and make some sugar-free jelly. I made some jelly previously from the same batch of grapes that we did last year, and this jelly is really good. I made some last year, and this turned out really good, but it's loaded with sugar, because it uses regular pectin, and of course you add sugar to it to make this jelly. Now, it's really yummy because we had our Concord grapes, but the ELB said, let's try and make some sugar-free jelly, so it still tastes as good, it's just not with all the added sugar. So today I'm gonna try and make some sugar-free jelly. We'll see how it turns out. No idea if it's gonna work. I'm gonna just use 3 cups of the juice, which should give me about 2 jars. Because this is the finished liquid. So I looked up, again, I went to YouTube, looked up a couple of recipes. I've got some pectin that is, it's designed to be no sugar added because evidently it's formulated a little bit differently. And so you got to use this kind if you're not going to add any sugar. And so I expect this jelly to be a little bit tart, but still should be good. So let's see how this works out. So here I'm getting my pot set up to, I'm going to boil the water so I can I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to boil the jars instead of putting them in the oven and doing a dry cleanse on them. This will sterilize them, get them hot, and then we'll put the jelly in it and then put them all back in there, and then when I put the lids on, it pops them down and that seals them, and then you take them out and you cool them on the, you just cool them out on the counter, and the lids will pop, and that's how you know they're sealed. So let's get on with the fun parts. So looking at the instructions, I know, crazy, right? Looking at instructions. But looking at the instructions, it says I need 3/4 cup of water to add to my juice. So I'm going to add 3/4 cup of water from our filtered water. I brought the juice up to a boil. I'm getting ready to add the pectin in, and we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of waiting until the water boils for my jars, so those can be sterilized, and then I'll take them out and let them air dry so there's not a lot of water inside of them, and that way the jar is still hot when I transfer the hot jelly liquid into the jars. And this is an experiment. We'll see how this works out. So all the recipes say to scrape off the foam with a metal spoon. I don't know why, but I'm going to do that. Alright, so we're left with just the juice. Alright, then I'll give it the water bath, and I'll let that boil. It's supposed to boil some of the air that's in there. As you can see, the air is coming out already, and my pot is barely able to hold the water over the jar. You want the water to be over the jar, and so I'll let those air bubbles boil out of there, and then once they stop, once the air bubbles stop coming out, See it's boiling over. So once the air bubbles stop coming out, then I'll take that out of there and let it sit, and then it'll cool on the counter and the lid will pop down when it's ready. When it actually seals up, you have this little pop. It's pretty distinctive, so you know what it's like. Anyway, so on top of everything else, I decided, since I had all this stuff out, why don't I just make some regular jelly too? The difference, the huge difference that you'll see is not only the type of pectin used, but the amount of sugar that goes into making jelly. That's 5 1/3 cups of sugar that goes into making jelly. And I think I'm only gonna get 3 or 4 jars out of it. It says it's supposed to make 7 cups, so we'll fill up the little jars in a big jar and see how it goes. But I do have to say, our Concord grapes have made wonderful jelly. So hopefully the sugar-free stuff will come out. So now I'm gonna make up a batch of regular jelly with plenty of sugar in it. And you'll notice I had to get out the big pot because the water kept boiling over, and so I needed to have something that would cover the jars as I filled them with jelly and put them back in there, so it wouldn't boil over the water. So that's why I moved to the big pot. Now I'm gonna make a batch of regular jelly. So I didn't have quite enough to fill up all the jars that I prepared, so I'll put lids on all of them. I'll cook the ones that I'll boil off I'll seal them. Is how they get sealed, to cook them up. And then the one that I didn't have enough to fill the jar, I will simply put a lid on that and put it in the fridge. And we'll use that first. Alright, so I got them all transferred to the big pot. They're covered with water. Now I'll boil them for a little while, watch for the air bubbles to come out, and that's how I know that it's sucked all that air out of there, kind of like a vacuum seal. And then we'll take it out and cool them off, and the lids will start popping, and that's how I know they're sealed. And we'll be done with this little project. If you see something I'm doing wrong, let me know in the comments. If you like what you see, give me a comment, give me a thumbs up, like and share. And until next time, cheers.